Hey there, have you ever stopped to think about how the US dollar influences almost everything in the world, from the price of the things you buy to the global economy itself? Well, today we are diving into one of the most powerful forces in global finance, the US dollar. The dollar isn't just the currency of the United States, it's the currency that drives global trade, determines investment strategies, and impacts financial stability across the globe. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the dollar works in the world economy, how it affects your investments, and why it's so critical to international trade. Understanding the US dollar's role in global finance. Let's start by exploring why the US dollar is so influential. You've probably heard the term reserve currency. But what does that really mean? Well, the US dollar is the world's primary reserve currency, meaning that it's held by central banks across the globe as a store of value. This status of being the reserve currency isn't accidental. The US dollar is seen as a stable and reliable currency, especially in times of uncertainty, and because of this, over 60% of global reserves are held in US dollars. That gives the dollar unmatched influence, both in global markets and in everyday transactions. But it doesn't stop there. When it comes to commodities like oil, gold, and even wheat, the transactions are often priced and traded in US dollars. This system, known as the petrodollar system, ensures that countries across the world need dollars to buy essential goods. That constant need for dollars drives their value higher and reinforces the dollar's global dominance. The US dollar's impact on global trade. Let's talk about trade. Imagine you're a business in Europe that wants to purchase oil from the Middle East. Even though you're in Europe, and the oil is coming from the Middle East, the transaction is still done in US dollars. Why is that? This is due to the global reliance on the dollar for trade, especially in energy markets. This creates a consistent demand for the US dollar globally. But it doesn't just affect oil. The price of almost every major commodity in the world is tied to the dollar. If the dollar strengthens, American goods and services become more expensive abroad, which can hurt exports. Conversely, if the dollar weakens, American goods become cheaper for foreign buyers, which can boost exports and stimulate the economy. The US dollar and investments. Exchange rates matter now. Let's dive into how the US dollar affects investments. If you're an investor, the strength or weakness of the dollar can significantly impact your returns, especially if you invest in international markets. When the US dollar strengthens, it can make foreign investments less valuable for US investors. Why? Because when you convert foreign currency back into US dollars, the return is smaller if the foreign currency has weakened against the dollar. For example, if you invested in European stocks, but the euro drops in value, your profits would shrink once converted to dollars. On the flip side, when the dollar weakens, US assets become more attractive to foreign investors because they get more value for their money when they exchange their currency for dollars. The dollar's effect on emerging markets and global economies. Let's move on to emerging markets. These countries, like India, Brazil, or South Africa, often have large amounts of debt denominated in US dollars. When the dollar strengthens, it makes paying off these debts much more expensive. Imagine if your local currency drops in value while your debt is tied to the dollar. Suddenly, paying back that debt costs a lot more in your local currency. This creates massive challenges for emerging economies, especially those that rely on foreign loans to fund infrastructure or development projects. A stronger dollar can lead to inflation, higher costs of living, and even financial crises in these countries. So, while a strong dollar might benefit American consumers by lowering the price of imports, it can devastate countries that are already struggling with debt or weak currencies. The dollar's role in global financial stability. The US dollar also plays a major role in maintaining global financial stability. Central banks around the world closely monitor the dollar's movements because the stability of the US dollar directly affects their economies. This is particularly true for countries that have close trade relationships with the US or hold large amounts of dollar-denominated debt. The Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, has a direct influence on the dollar. Through monetary policies like interest rate changes, the Fed can either strengthen or weaken the dollar. When interest rates rise in the US, it can attract foreign investment because of higher returns on bonds and other fixed income assets, which increases demand for the dollar. Conversely, when interest rates are lowered, it can weaken the dollar, which can make exports cheaper but increase the cost of borrowing internationally, protecting your investments from dollar volatility. So, how can you protect your investments from all this dollar-driven volatility? Diversification is key. A strong dollar might mean great news for US assets, but it doesn't guarantee success for every investment. By spreading your investments across different asset classes as stocks, bonds, real estate, and even commodities, so you can hedge against fluctuations in the dollar. Another option is to look into international assets or currencies. While the US dollar dominates the global economy, many investors are beginning to look beyond the dollar for opportunities. Foreign stocks, international bonds, and even cryptocurrencies are all ways to build a more balanced portfolio. Conclusion: to sum it all up, the US dollar isn't just a currency used for buying things. It's the engine that drives global trade, stabilizes economies, and shapes investment strategies. Whether you're an investor in the US or abroad, understanding how the dollar impacts the global financial landscape is crucial for making informed financial decisions. Now, I want to hear from you. How do you think the US dollar will continue to shape global trade and investments in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more financial insights. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.